What if the secret to next level B2B marketing isn't a secret at all, but a different way of looking at what you've already got? In this episode of the CMO Show, we dive deep into this pressing question with none other than Duncan Egan, Vice President of Marketing for Adobe's digital experience business in APAC. We'll explore the common pitfalls in B2B marketing and uncover how artificial intelligence is reshaping the landscape, offering new solutions and efficiencies that were previously unimaginable. Join me as I sit down with Duncan to discuss the transformative power of AI in marketing, the importance of understanding buying groups, and the shift towards more customer-centric approaches. Hello, and thanks for joining us. I'm Mark Jones. Welcome to the CMO Show. Joining me today is Duncan Egan. He is VP of Marketing for Adobe's DX business in APAC and Japan. Good to see you.
Great to be here, Mark.
Now, first up, just give me your impression. What's top of mind for you?
Top of mind, it has to be AI, and it has been top of mind for the last couple of years, but I think it's really coming together, and I think we can see the interest, excitement, and need from our customers that are here around AI and what's happening in that broader space.
Yeah.
I mean, you have to be, as a marketer, using it, adopting it, and thinking about how you're going to leverage that in your playbook, because everyone else is, and your competitors will be.
And last year was all about you need to be using AI, and CMOs are getting on board with AI. This year, the conversation swung around in a really interesting way, is that with the rise of agents, there's this sense that a lot of the workflows, the tactical systems, the stuff that consumes time right across the entire marketing stack is going to be caught up in a lot of the automations that we get through AI. That's, if you think about it, that's 12 months, an incredible shift.
The pace at which we're moving is incredible, which is also exciting, right? And I see the transition from a pull model, tell me this, how should I do that, to a more push and automated model. So tell me this, tell me that, and go do it, right? So that's where I think the next evolution of AI, generically speaking, is taking us to actually kick off workflows to help efficiency, speed, and time to market, which we're all trying to achieve.
Now, for the listener who is not as deeply embedded in the Adobe stack, as it were, one of the things that really struck out for me is when we think about the different product sets, the conversational AI typing into a bar interface, that was quite clumsily expressed, by the way.
Actually, it's pretty good.
Okay,
yeah.
Well, we don't really have jargon for that yet.
Yeah.
But that search bar
yeah.
is now the defining feature in the demos that I've seen. Can you just maybe try and translate that into some words as to what it's like to use the product now?
Yeah, so part of our AI strategy as a company is to embed it throughout our product suite across our Creative Cloud, our Document Cloud, and our Experience Cloud, right? So whether you're a consumer using Photoshop or you are a marketing operations person using Adobe Analytics. And the idea behind it is it is a conversational interface. So think about texting, but you have a really, really smart something on the other side that is looking at your data or looking at your past campaigns or is looking at personas or segments, and you can ask it questions, and based on your historical performance or data, it's going to inform you to help make better decisions on your campaigns, either in real time or for future campaigns that you're doing. So in Adobe Acrobat, you can ask it questions about a 400-page PDF research paper. And like I was saying, across the digital experience products, the same idea. You have a conversational element to how you can interact and learn and optimize what you're doing.
It's actually a really big shift in mindset, I think, for a lot of marketers. Part of that is coming to the realization that this chat interface now starts to do work for you. Now, in simple terms, this is where the agents start surfacing. But what was interesting is we don't see them labeled as like, well, you're now using an agent. All right, just explain to me what's going on there.
Yeah, so I think it's, we're embedding it across the products partially to lower the bar to entry.
Yes.
Right? So, as an example, I can go in and use it in analytics, and I'll be honest, I don't go into analytics. Maybe I did my first week and I haven't been back since. But I can now go in and I can actually ask it questions that are relevant to me to understand what we're doing, right? So the way we're approaching the whole idea of the agents is, for the last year, it's been give me information, help inform me so I can make decisions. And now we're looking at, yes, let's inform, but then let's go take action. How do we make something better and kick off a workflow that it's going to go optimize that segment or optimize that creative or that messaging to have a better outcome for the business?
Yeah. And it actually addresses a great unspoken truth in marketing, is that we're all at different stages of the technical or practitioner level journey.
For sure.
Right.
Yes.
And you just were sort of referring to that. So one of the problem sets is actually, how do I do this thing? Right. I'm using this powerful enterprise software. Now it's actually starting to help me do it with very minimal training or input, right?
Yeah.
How significant is that? Because you've been around Adobe for a little while. You've also seen this in enterprise systems past.
Yeah.
This is a big change in thinking that I'm not sure a lot of people are aware of.
Yeah, I think it's a big change in thinking, but I'd also say from the outside looking in, it always looks awesome, right? So any company I've worked at before I went there, well, they've got it all together, they're dialed, and you get inside and you know what? We have data problems.
Yeah.
We have, teams working in silos. We have orchestration problems. We have similar challenges across our industries, right? What I think this next evolution that we're seeing happen right now is the ability to make it much easier for us to collaborate and communicate, exposing data to, I don't want to say the masses, but the masses that need to know, right? Where
Sure.
in the past, I might have had to go ask a business analyst, and depending on what they knew about my business, I may or may not get information that's going to help me inform a decision that I'm making,
Yes.
right? So I really see it bringing a whole new lens to how we operate as marketers and thinking more about the outcome of the customer. So becoming more customer-centric rather than account or marketing-centric, which I think is a big shift that we've talked about for many years. But I really think this is allowing us to do that much more so than we've ever been able to do.
One of the speakers here talked about friction being the enemy of marketing. And I actually love that line because in this case, we're talking about systems, processes, the way we get stuff done as a marketing team actually slows us down in terms of being customer centric.
Yeah.
If I can just pick up on that customer journey orchestration piece, I've always loved the idea that you can do a drag and drop and create this beautiful workflow. Customer comes in one end and pops out the other as a sale. It always looks a lot easier than I think it is in practice. The difference here is now we're starting to have a system that's learning and actually creating it for us.
Yeah.
How important do you think that will be in the context of reducing friction?
Yeah. So massive. And I'm going to just step back a little bit and talk about, our approach to marketing. So 2 years ago, we embarked on a journey in Asia Pacific and Japan, looking at our AQL to SQL conversions.
Which is, for those playing at home,
Automated qualified leads.
Yep.
To sales qualified opportunities. So somebody who first engages with you to they're ready to talk to sales. And how we were thinking about it at the time is Mark Jones at the CMO company, he is the guy that we need to talk. He's come in and he's gone to our website. He might have gone to a webinar. He's the guy. So now we're going to feed him content more on our terms than your terms. We're going to try and engage you. And at some point in time, we might have a business development representative talk to you and you say, yep, well, actually, I'm looking at updating my website. I've been, kicking some tires. You go to sales and you actually like, yeah, no, I don't buy. I'm not the CFO. I'm the CEO, but I'm not the CFO. And there's other people that are involved in the process. So we saw when we look at the funnel in a linear sense, so from one stage to the next, a lot of pipeline was attriting. And we found out we weren't talking to the right people. So we have broadened our perspective to think about accounts and buying groups, not individuals.
So what's a buying group?
So a buying group, ideally it is the people that make the decision to spend the money to solve their big problems, right? So from an Adobe perspective, might be the CFO, the CMO, the CEO, the CIO, a layer down. We have to also consider the decision makers. And I also believe you have to consider the practitioners.
Yeah.
There is a bottoms up groundswell and there's a top-down understanding of value and ROI.
Yes.
That it is massive so that it's not I'm going to buy this product to solve this solution. How much do you cost versus how much do they cost? It's a broader conversation around customer lifecycle and how you approach the customer. Right?
Yes.
So we have evolved from that how do we increase our conversion rate, which was a good starting point to say the money we spend is more effective when we get that conversion rate higher, right? So we are putting better quality in the beginning, the top of the funnel that is reaching the sales team. So then we said, great, and we need to look at the full buying group. And this is where customer journey orchestration comes in, where we have a defined set of accounts agreed to with sales that these are the accounts we really think are the right targets for us to go after. Everything we do, digital and event, and everything in between is targeted at those accounts and certain personas in those accounts. The next layer of that is we have a way to assess and score engagement. So again, I'm going to go back to the CMO show, and we know the CMO show is a very large enterprise with tens of thousands of people.
I wish.
And we know based on prior data that there is an opportunity for you to expand your footprint within Adobe, and it might be journey orchestration and analytics as an example. And we notice that your organization is going to our website and they are looking at analytics, they are looking at journey orchestration. A few of your senior members have gone to webinars, and we have a recipe that tells us what good looks like based on past historic data. That also helps inform not only the marketing team. You may have masses of people going to our website, and that's it. And we say, well, we need to engage you deeper. So can we entice you to come to maybe a CXO dinner? Can we entice your team to come to a webinar and learn more and invest that time? You go spend 45 minutes on a webinar, that's a pretty big commitment. So we're really thinking about not only the account, but the who, and within the account, how do we approach each one of those personas in the right manner and on your terms, right? So it isn't, hey, Mark, come buy our software. It might be, hey, come have dinner with your peers and learn about what other people are doing to try and solve personalization at scale.
And look, I've been around a long time in terms of seeing enterprises and how they play. And what's interesting about the scenario that you just explained is that you've actually aligned your approach to business, your go-to-market strategy around the human reality.
Yes.
Right. Yeah. And we've always had this idea, we're going to target the CEO, we're going to target the CIO, the CFO, the CMO, right? So we've had these little C-suite streams of marketing and sales, but when in reality, they've always talked to each other.
Yeah.
The difference, I think now, if I'm hearing you correctly, is that we've got a better way of understanding the dynamics of those relationships. And I wanted to pick you up on that in terms of your work, because it seems like you're doing a lot of strategic work around how are we engaging with these people? Yeah. If you like, and this is a bit meta, but you're orchestrating the orchestrators.
Well, I was just going to say, I was waiting for you to pause, but you were spot on. So part of it is the human side of it internally with our organization. It is not a marketing motion, it's an organizational motion, right? So it includes sales, pre-sales, post-sales, field marketing, digital and data teams, web, right? To really come together and think about how are we orchestrating the approach to these accounts, these cohorts, these individuals ultimately, right? And what is the right thing to do, right? I often talk to our business development representatives, and their motion is we need to create pipeline, but it actually has evolved to we need to create value. If we create value, good things will happen. Yeah. Whether it's a brand new customer or an existing customer, the value might be come learn more about our products. It might be, like I said, event-based. It might be there's a white paper, all the traditional things, but we have the intent signals and the data to support what should that outreach look like, which I think is really game-changing.
I'm also fascinated by the intent signals that you mentioned. In simple terms, I think of this as the shift from demographics to psychographics. What are you seeing in terms of the way marketers can more easily understand the patterns and the relationships between these different points of really psychographic data? Yeah. I know that's a technical question, but...
Yeah, so I'll start with, your first party data strategy. So the people that engage with you and give you their information. Yes. Super important. They are people that have said, I will trust you with my information, and therefore understanding them, their behaviors, ideally wants and needs, allows us to engage with them in a much more customer and individual way. As opposed to maybe 4 or 5 years ago, we're just going to go, here's a segment, let's go send them and invite them all to this webinar and see what happens.
Yeah.
Right. So today we can actually go down to an individual and understand much more about them. Then you have your third-party data, which is other sources, might be LinkedIn, it might be from demand base, which gives us other signals around what people are doing. Again, I'll go back to that example around analytics. This account is spending a lot of time on other sites and they are looking at white papers around analytics. It just helps better inform us around how we can approach and again, add value to their experience. The other shift we've seen in the last couple of years, and again, I don't think it's been groundbreaking, but really rethinking around our website and that space and how people should engage with us. We have been very much a demand gen machine over the years. You come to our website and you see something, you fill out a form, we give it to you. Now, I've always been a believer, if I'm not ready to give you my information, you can go 7 other places and probably get something very similar.
Yeah.
So why not create less friction, give information out, let the prospect or customer really engage with you how they want to, not how we want them to.
Yeah.
Right. So here's the information. Go to our community, ask other people what's going on, download the white paper. And then when you're ready, come talk to us. Kind of like buying a car. The shift that's happened there, you don't go to a car dealer and say, what do you have that's new? You know before you walk in.
Well, the parallel in B2B marketing in particular is very similar to the car experience, is that you're dealing with very educated, highly informed, well-connected buyers across multiple C-suite titles.
Yes. And the other exciting and scary thing is how quickly things are changing.
Right.
When I talk to CMOs across Asia, Pacific, and Japan, we're all excited and challenged with AI.
Yeah.
Right. And there are regulatory requirements for some industries, of course. And there's also, is it this kind of shiny object fun thing that's going to go away? I believe it's a fundamental shift and it's going to have massive impact on our industry and many industries and allow us to do things that have been not possible in the past.
So where's it going? What's next? What's your advice for CMOs who are thinking,
my advice
this is moving so fast, by the way. So how do I stay up?
I think, my advice, particularly around what's going on with the industry right now, there are marketing fundamentals you have to have in place in order to really be able to experiment well, right? So do you have your data layer in order as best as you can? I don't think anybody has it 100%, but do you have your content, your campaign strategy in order? And do you have an idea of the journey and journey orchestration? Once you have the foundation layer, and I'd say you don't have to have this, but I think it helps, then you can start thinking about what are the use cases that I can apply from a generative AI or an agentic AI perspective, right? So just some customer examples, and this was a couple years ago, there was a big telco in Asia Pacific that they were using generative AI in their call center for what they called level 1 support. So this was somebody who was on some type of machine that has a cellular chip in it. And if that goes down, it could be life-threatening. So these agents would be working with the individual and they would be typing up the notes and problem solving and typing at the same time. So very early days, they leveraged AI to listen, to type up the notes so that agent can be 100% dedicated to solving that problem or reassuring that customer that, we have backup or whatever it might be, which is fantastic, right? So you're taking the burden off of both of those things because there are legal liabilities, et cetera.
It's sort of allowing you to really focus on high value tasks. The last sort of topic I wanted to touch on was this interface that you referred to between marketing and sales, and I think even product development. So there's a blurred line that I've picked up here at Summit in a number of interviews, and I wondered what that might look like for you in your role.
Yeah, you bet. One thing that I love about Adobe is we get to try all of our products first. So when we were first launching Firefly, which is our generative product, it was released to all employees internally. And there were Slack channels and team channels, like, hey, this isn't working right, well, let us know. And it gave our engineers and our product team confidence in what we were doing, how we were going, and that we were putting out to market a product that was going to be valued. And if there were areas that weren't 100%, we were aware of it and we could work to fix that. Same thing goes from our MarTech stack, where we get to try and give feedback to the product teams around things that we like or things that are maybe not quite where we would like them to be. So I think the convergence of Adobe as, we are the marketers marketing to marketers,
Yeah.
which is fantastic.
Yeah.
And also being able to have a direct line into product development, because we have been predominantly, consumer, B2C, and now really a big strategic push into B2B, because I think it is the next evolution and so needed around helping enterprise marketers with the tools. I'm sure many of people you've talked to, we've always aspired to do what B2C has done. Here's the next, here's the next viable product. Here's the Intel and the Amazon-like approach. And I do think, I am seeing for the first time with particularly the technology and the advancements that is here. Yeah. And its ability for the ability for us to really think strategically about how we take that, test and learn.
If you were to summarize the greatest opportunity for marketers right now, what would that be?
I think the biggest opportunities for marketers would be, one, challenge the status quo. When you look at your funnel, I think you have to look broader and you have to think about buying group, the complexity of the buying group. Number two, I would say AI, generative AI, agentic AI, and whatever AI comes next. But you have to learn, you have to try, you have to test, you have to experiment. And then the last thing I think is, from a people and organizational perspective, you have to think different. There are new skill sets that we need. There are new paradigms that are shifting around how we're operating and how we're going to be operating in the future. So I look at the organization and how we're operating, and I'm thinking, what does the future look like? I don't have the answer, I'm sorry to say, but I do think it's a conversation we as leaders need to be having, and within our teams, and skilling them up and making them feel good about where we're going.
How is AI changing your role?
AI has changed my role massively in that there are no typos anymore in my emails, but also it is an efficiency play absolutely for me, and also the ability for Adobe and our internal marketers to leverage the latest and greatest technology. So we are on the front lines of testing and using and putting the things that you will see in market into play now, and being able to give feedback on that. That is truly inspiring, and also really exciting for my team to be able to get their hands on the latest and greatest technology. So we're seeing massive strides in how we can approach and be very customer-centric in our activities and strategic approach to the different markets that we play in across Asia, Pacific, and Japan.
Duncan, I love your energy, and I love the thinking between connecting all these different moving parts, applying it in real time, and then also thinking ahead. So there's certainly a lot on your plate, and I really appreciate you personally sharing your time.
You bet. I am very passionate about what I do and what we do. And I think, as marketers, the fun is in the unknown. The fun is in testing. The fun is, really trying to not do what we did last year. Let's do something new and let's go try it. And having, the confidence in the organization to say, if it doesn't work, that's okay. We're going to learn from it. We're going to move on. So thank you. I really appreciate the opportunity to talk to you today.
It's a pleasure. The CMO Show is produced by ImpactInstitute in partnership with Adobe. ImpactInstitute is a professional services firm for purpose-led organizations. Our unique blend of impact consulting, brand storytelling, and event services help our clients create meaningful change. Our executive producer is Ryan Newman, our producer is Pamela Obeid, and the show is engineered by Ed Chang and Daniel Ma. And a quick shout out to Adobe Experience Cloud, which gives digital businesses everything they need to design and deliver great customer experiences. Visit business.adobe.com to learn how Adobe can help transform your business.